From the heart of Las Vegas, this is The Middle Ground, your destination for balanced conversations, real issues, and common sense solutions. Hosted by Tom Letizia, The Middle Ground starts now.
Good morning, Las Vegas, and welcome back to the Middle Ground Radio Show. I'm your host, Tom Letizia, and today we have a very special guest in the studio with us, Las Vegas entrepreneur, author, Marine Corps veteran, and survivor, Ron Coury. Ron's memoir, Tenacity, tells us the story of coming out of Brooklyn, serving in the Marines, facing corruption, serious illness, and still building businesses and community in Southern Nevada. Ron, thank you for joining us.
Tom, thank you so much for having me here today.
It's so great to have you, Ron, and I'm so excited to talk about your book, Tenacity. And it's how a Las Vegas businessman, a former Brooklynite and Marine, survived corruption and cancer to achieve the American dream. We want to dig into all of that, and we will in just a little bit, but I want to get a little background first. Russell, why don't you kick it off? And Russell Letizia here in the studio, why don't you kick it off with a question for Ron Coury?
Good morning, Ron.
Hi, Russell.
Your book is called Tenacity. What does that word mean to you, not in the abstract, but from your lived experience?
Well, one who is tenacious is someone who doesn't shy away from a fight, doesn't avoid difficult challenges, faces obstruction head on, and tries to overcome it, go around it, but in any way defeat it and do well on the other side.
And you've done all of that. You grew up in Brooklyn, and later you joined the Marines. How did your early years in the military service shape your business mindset?
Well, when you go into the Marine Corps, you deal with 90 days of boot camp and then 90 to 180 days of advanced infantry training. Part of the training, most people know about the physical training due to movies like Full Metal Jacket and various Clint Eastwood movies where the Marine Corps is featured. But there is a great deal of time spent in classroom where you learn Marine Corps history. It gives you a great pride in the group of people. Back when I enlisted, you weren't drafted in the Marine Corps. You were drafted into all the other branches of the military, but the Marine Corps you had to volunteer for.
Yeah. And
I did volunteer to join the Marine Corps. At the time, everyone who was going into the military out of Brooklyn was going straight to Vietnam, and I felt like that was my destiny. And I did some research, and what I found was the best training available, the hardest, albeit, but the best, was in the Marine Corps. And my chances of survival, if I were sent to Vietnam, would be enhanced if I were trained by the Marines. So that's why I enlisted in the Marines. And the enlistment overshadowed the draft induction notices I got, and I ended up going to the Marine Corps, stationed in San Diego for boot camp, and everyone there was destined for Vietnam. And at the time, the President of the United States was Richard Nixon. During the 90 days of boot camp, we were all told, you're training for Vietnam, you're trained with jungle warfare and booby traps and the types of things the military were facing back then. But then in advanced infantry training, we learned that President Nixon had announced something called de-escalation, and they were going to start pulling out some certain thousand number of troops per month and not sending them over. And what a stroke of irony, because instead of going to war, we were all trained for it. And they put up a list of duty stations on an old-fashioned chalkboard and said, these are the duty stations with the number of billets available at each one. And I had become friends with a guy in boot camp from South Philly, which was very much like my growing up in Brooklyn, Dan Hughes. So we had agreed to try to get stationed together because of the camaraderie we had built in boot camp, serving guard duty together, training together. Well, there were 2 billets for Barstow, which was a hole in the wall in the Nevada desert, California desert, going into Nevada. But I had a couple of relatives living here, cousins, aunts, and uncles here in Las Vegas. And I said, Dan, why don't we grab those Barstow billets, and we'd have a Monday to Friday assignment unless there's a new war we get sent to, and we can hit Vegas on weekends and really have an enjoyable time in what's left of our military time. And he agreed. We did. We came to Vegas. We stayed at my aunt's house on weekends. And the old 50-cent drinks at the El Cortez meant a lot to guys that were making $300 a month.
Yeah.
In the military back in '73.
Yeah.
And Dan and I had a great time. We didn't even have a car. I had a little Honda 350 motorcycle we doubled on, and we'd split the ride from Barstow to Vegas in half and switch from driver to passenger and scooted around on that Honda for our weekend in Vegas. And it was just a great opportunity because when we got out, I decided to give Vegas a try. So did he. We ended up staying here and building a multitude of businesses and enjoyed great
and I want to get
here.
to I want to get to all of that as well, but I want to stay with this growing up pretty much. I mean, you were a young man in the 70s. You moved to Las Vegas. What was Vegas like then from your perspective in contrast to today?
If you watch an old TV show like Andy of Mayberry, Vegas was a small town. It was a small town with about 200 to 250,000 residents. Mm-hmm. Nothing like the 3 million residents we now have. And you could walk around town in the handful of casinos there were and know a lot of the dealers from your side of town where you lived or as a former dealer that I had worked with breaking in or at the Tropicana where I ended up. And you couldn't walk around many hotels and not recognize a couple of people.
Yeah.
Nothing like the town today.
Yeah. It's 10 times larger today. When you and I came here, I came in 71, you right around then.
Yep.
It was a very small town. And you're exactly right. We'd go into a restaurant and we'd know everybody in the restaurant, it seemed like. Totally different place today. Okay, in your book, Tenacity, one of the stories in this wonderful book was you confronting corruption and coercion. And I want you to share a moment when you felt you had to choose between compromise and integrity and how you decided. And tell us a little bit about that story,
Sure.
How it came about. It was in Henderson, right?
I wanted to develop a neighborhood casino, and around that time, the Las Vegas City Council, which pretty much ran everything north of Sahara, and the Clark County Commission, which ran business licensing south of Sahara, had established a room requirement where you had to be a hotel to get non-restricted gaming. And non-restricted gaming, for your listeners, is anything over 15 slot machines. Mm-hmm. I had experience with live gaming being a former dealer, and I wanted to engage in that opportunity for financial gain and to achieve a higher level of success, to raise a family. I anticipated raising a family. Joan and I got married in 75, and our first child was born in 78. How unique, huh? Having a kid after you got married. Uh-huh. But, yeah, we were old-fashioned that way. And so I went to work as a dealer and wanted to do better and do more. So I dealt at night and got a job as a realtor during the day and would show houses and make extra money that way with a goal of one day owning my own business and being my own boss. And over the course of a couple of years, the opportunity developed where I could acquire a local tavern. And the tavern business back then, unlike today, video poker hadn't been invented. There might have been 3 or 4 slot machines in the corner of a bar, but you made money selling drinks. Mm-hmm. I bought the old Suburban Lounge West on Spring Mountain and Jones, put a kitchen in because I observed as the operator. I was on the floor every day, every night. I'd run home for dinner with the family and then run back to the bar to oversee the night shift. And people would say, Ron, we had a great time. We're going to go get something to eat. And I lost a lot of my customers because we didn't have food. I tried frozen entrees in a toaster oven, but that just wasn't doing it. So Dan and I borrowed money to build a small kitchen at the Suburban Lounge. Actually, a Cuban gentleman that I was a dealer with, Jose Martinez, loaned me the money to build that first kitchen. And we built the kitchen, retained our customer base when they got hungry, and grew the bar from there to 4 locations around town, neighborhood casinos, non-restricted gaming, and ended up developing 2 with property we purchased on Sunset Road, and the other was out in the Northwest on Decatur and Vegas Drive. The original Castaways was a place on the Strip, but they had changed names to another property, and the name was available. So I named that bar the Castaways, and it had great name recognition as a locals place, because even though Castaways was on the Strip, they attracted locals.
Absolutely.
So those bars did really well, and Dan and I parlayed them into something we could sell for a pretty good number, and then pretty much thought I was retired if I invested my proceeds properly, and didn't fall into the rut that many people do that make good money and think they could beat gaming and gamble for a living. I gambled for recreation when company was in town, but never tried to make that my livelihood. And then I made a friend who was a visitor of Vegas from Texas. My casino host at Caesars said, "You got to meet this guy. You guys are a lot alike." And Elmo Voss at the Caesars Palace casino host introduced me to Don Tamburo, who you know.
Oh, yeah.
Don came to town, and we spent some time together, and he was a car dealer out of Texas, wanted to spread and relocate to Vegas. And we ended up making a deal for Planet Hyundai on Sahara and Rainbow, and we parlayed that into 4 car dealerships.
Okay, I want you to go back to the corruption that you faced, though. When you were starting out in your business, you faced some political corruption. Tell us about that.
I wanted to grow in gaming to non-restricted gaming, and there was a councilman in Henderson, which in my book I renamed Opportunity Nevada, because I didn't want to get in the middle of a lawsuit with the city that would delay my book being issued.
Okay.
Now that it's out and successful and an Amazon bestseller, I'm not concerned about it because I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
But I encountered a corrupt councilman that wanted a bribe to approve my non-restricted gaming license. And I said, no, I'm not paying. Other people have applied, and if they passed a background check, got the license. That's what I want.
Yeah.
If I want to make a contribution to your campaign, I'll do that voluntarily, but not as a condition of getting your vote for approval.
Yeah.
And he lobbied for the votes against me at the old Henderson City Council.
Under what grounds?
Said that the location I selected was unfit for the area.
Right, and they have
said, Sunset at Val Verde
is
as commercial a cross street as you're going to find.
Right.
But
when you say he asked you for a bribe, did he say, I want a campaign contribution, or did he actually want you to write him a check directly or hand him cash?
He came out and wanted $50,000 to get his vote.
$50,000 you were asked for just to get his support.
Right. And he would not lobby against my project with the other council members who would follow his lead because he was the councilman from which my bar was located.
So they did follow his lead. You were voted down.
We were denied.
Okay, you were denied, and that was
state.
it. It was over, right?
It was over unless I appealed it, and I took it to the state Supreme Court.
You went right to
Nevada
the court, right to the Supreme Court.
Well, we went to district court.
Okay,
you have to go there first.
Yes,
and the district court listened to the arguments. The judge said, "This is as compelling an argument as I've ever heard. I'll render my ruling in a couple of days." And my lawyer said, "That's it. We nailed it."
Did you address the bribe in the court?
No, my lawyer said not to.
Okay, so you just addressed the fact that you were turned down and it wasn't just.
It wasn't just. It wasn't comparable to other locations they'd approved that were not as situated geographically as good as we were.
Right. So it went to the district court and you won.
District court we lost.
Oh, you lost there again.
That judge had someone come talk to me in the steam room at Caesars Palace Health Spa, where I had no clothes on, there were no microphones, and that guy, a local contractor, who told me in the steam room, I know you're doing this deal, the biggest project of your life. I'm very close with your judge, and reiterated the $50,000 price to get the vote. And I said, tell the judge I'll make a better friend than an enemy. Just do the right thing. I'm not going to commit a federal crime to win a political argument.
Yeah.
And that judge denied my license. After saying on the record, this is very unusual that this would be denied to this applicant.
Yeah.
And then he goes in a ruling against us, and I take it to the state Supreme
Court. So you go to the Supreme Court. You lost at the city council. You lost in the court. Now you've taken it to our highest court in the state.
Yep.
And what happened there?
They listened to the arguments presented by my attorney and the attorney for the city of Henderson, and issued a ruling a couple of days later in my favor. Ordered them to reconsider my application and give it favorable viewing. At the time, I had worked both ends, not just suing them, but supported people who were running against the status quo, and got 2 new council members elected and a new mayor elected. And the new mayor was a fellow named Jim Gibson, you may know.
Sure.
I went to see Mayor Gibson. I said, if you've read the papers, you know what's been going on, what I've been facing. I don't want to be suing you guys, but I have no other way to proceed, and I've already bought the land.
Yeah.
Over $200,000 for a half acre was an unprecedented price, but it was zoned for gaming, non-restricted gaming. It was everything I needed, fronted on Sunset Road, so I committed the funds to it.
Yeah.
Not ever expecting I'd be denied after they approved 2 other locations on my street.
Right.
So Mayor Gibson got involved, and I got the support I needed and prevailed in the Supreme Court.
Talk about perseverance. I mean, you didn't give up, and that's what I love about you, and that's what your book is all about. It's about having tenacity. Was this the biggest obstacle that you ever faced as an entrepreneur in Las Vegas during your early ventures, or did you face other ones as well?
Well, it was the biggest business obstacle because I had so much money committed. I took multiple loans against my home. I was all in. Mm-hmm. I couldn't risk failure. But talk about obstacles. There's a cancer called esophageal cancer, which I had always worked out since the Marine Corps. I was in great shape. I was almost 190 pounds, pretty muscular. And I went for an annual physical to a well-known doctor to Las Vegas who was situated in Santa Barbara, Jim Murray, now deceased. Mm-hmm. But many well-known casino owners, hotel operators went to Jim Murray, and he found a cancer when my local doctor gave me a clean bill of health a month earlier. But he found a tumor very young, sent me to an esophageal cancer specialist at USC Hospital in Los Angeles, and that doctor, Dr. DeMeester, said, all I operate on are these types of cancers, and I never get to operate on one this small. Usually people are spitting blood or they have major pain. That's how they learn they have it, and it's many times inoperable. It's advanced too far. I'm amazed Dr. Murray found this.
Yeah.
And I said, if anything, Dr. Murray is diligent, which is why I've gone to him every year for many years for a thorough physical, because cancer ran in my family. My dad lost multiple brothers and sisters to cancer. I never felt like it was if I'd get cancer, it was when. And if I were to get it, I wanted to catch it early and have an optimum chance of defeating it. And that's exactly what happened.
So, I mean, this was the biggest thing that ever happened in your life. I mean, all the business problems are nothing compared to having a life-threatening disease. Let me ask you this, because the survival rates are very low.
8% survival rate.
8%. So when doctors told you the odds, what were your first thoughts?
I'm going to war.
You're going to war.
The war I never went to in the Marine Corps because of Vietnam's de-escalation. This was going to war. I had to go home and tell my family this was happening. I was going to go back to California for this surgery, and I'd be in a hospital at least a month and hopefully defeat it. But we were going to fight it head on, have a very invasive surgery. they ultimately would cut me from just below my jawline, down my chest, to past my belly button, and from the center of my back to the right side of my back, open me up, fillet me from both sides, and remove the esophagus and half the stomach. During the surgery, they nicked my spleen. It wouldn't stop bleeding, so they removed my spleen. But to my shock, I woke up in the hospital bed, and the doctor said everything went well, and I stayed in the hospital about a month before I could travel, and came back home, and proud to say, thanks to great medical care in this country and catching it early, I was able to beat a cancer with an 8% survival rate.
So you said you were going to war. Did your Marine training and your entrepreneurial grit help you endure that fight of your life?
I believe the Marine Corps instills in you a sense of tenacity, if you will, where you will not accept failure. Mm-hmm. You find a way to overcome the challenge and defeat it. Mm-hmm. And when I researched how do you beat this, going and getting it cut out as soon as possible was the way to beat it before it spread to other organs.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Had I not gone straight to surgery, I think inside of 3 months I'd have been dead.
Ron, what do you want to share with our listeners facing their own health battles? What can they take away from this story?
I'd like to think if people were facing challenges of any kind, they could enjoy the various challenges I've faced as described in my book, mm-hmm. and possibly be motivated to not give up.
Yeah.
Because not giving up is what helped me survive.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud that my story was actually of such interest that I got an actor the quality of Dean Cain, an actual Superman, if you will, agree to portray me in a film that we're going to start filming in November. And he's actually going to make the movie Tenacity as Ron Coury. And that's possibly one of the most exciting business opportunities I've ever been faced with.
I want to talk about that movie a little bit more, Russell, but I know you had a question for Ron Coury about experience in this near-death experience with esophageal cancer.
Yeah, Ron, you just mentioned you survived esophageal cancer. How did that health crisis change your perspective on risk, priorities, and business?
Well, when one is diagnosed with esophageal cancer and they're told there's an 8% survival rate, you cherish every day. Mm-hmm. You particularly end up embracing the friends that you've had all your life, your family, your children, and you have a greater appreciation for every day you live because you're thinking you're not going to be around in a few months. And it gave me a new perspective and a greater appreciation for the friends that stood by me during the political challenges, the business challenges, friends I had since I was 6 years old that are back east I'm still in touch with. We talk on the phone or via Zoom on a weekly basis. And then the friends I made in Vegas. Vegas was a small town of a couple of 100,000 people, and I made friends then. Russell, your dad is one of them. I met him over 20 years ago. And you embrace those friendships, and they mean more to you when you survive challenges like a major cancer threat.
We're talking to our guest this morning, Ron Coury. He was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He's written a book. It's called Tenacity. It was published in 2018. And now Ron shared with us the great news that they're making a movie out of his book. I want to talk to you a little bit more about that, Ron. We need to take a break, and then we're going to be back with our guest today on The Middle Ground, Ron Coury. Stay with us.
So why don't you just meet me in the middle?
The Vegas Sports Report is brought to you by
UNLV.
Tickets!
We get you there.
There wasn't a lot of faith in the Las Vegas Aces to win their third WNBA title this year, especially not after a 53-point loss on their home floor early last month. Oddsmakers offered them as 40-1 the next day. Since then, they've gone 17-0, secured the number 2 seed in the playoffs, and can advance to the semifinals with a win over the Storm in Seattle tonight. At 40-1 has fallen to 2.5-1. Tip goes up at 6:30 party in the Emerald City. Not much of a celebration for Raiders' new head coach Pete Carroll, who turned 74 yesterday. The NFL's oldest coach had to have aged a little faster watching his starting quarterback throw 3 interceptions and fail to get his team into the end zone in a 20-9 loss to the LA Chargers on Monday Night Football at Allegiant Stadium. So the Silver and Black enter Week 3 of the season with a 1-1 record. They're in Washington on Sunday, where they opened as 3.5-point underdogs.
The biggest sports report is brought to you by
UNLV.
Take gas.
We get you there.
Attorneys Bradley Schrager and Daniel Bravo of the law firm Bravo Schrager LLP provide the highest standard of work on Nevada appeals. Bravo Schrager lawyers have long experience in the appellate process. They've argued dozens of appeals and writs in the Nevada Supreme Court and Court of Appeals over many years, and they produce clear, compelling, and persuasive legal briefs in support of your case. Bravo Schrager LLP knows the complex appeal process in Nevada inside and out. If your case is going on appeal, contact Bravo Schrager LLP at 702-996-1724 or visit bravoschrager.com. Bravo Schrager LLP knows the complex appeal process in Nevada inside and out. If your case is going on appeal, contact Bravo Schrager LLP at 702-996-1724 or visit bravoschrager.com. Attorneys Bradley Schrager and Daniel Bravo of the law firm Bravo Schrager LLP provide the highest standard of work on Nevada appeals. Bravo Schrager LLP, your Nevada law firm for appeals.
Ready to transform your body, boost your energy, and feel your best? Welcome to OC Body Fit at Tivoli Village. We offer personalized training for all ages and fitness levels, perfect for beginners, injury recovery, or pushing toward your next big goal. Our expert trainers focus on you with customized plans and proper techniques. Enjoy small group classes that bring the motivation of a community with the personal attention you need. Don't wait. Start your journey to a stronger, healthier you today. Call or text 702-978-8263 to book your free consultation now. OC Body Fit, your ultimate fitness destination.
He's the man behind the message, the strategist with 54 years of unstoppable success. From mayoral races to national headlines, he delivers. Tom Letizia, the maestro of media. The name behind 10,000 commercials, $1 billion in ad spend, and a legacy of political wins. Need to win hearts, shift public opinion, or manage a crisis? Visit LetitiaAgency.com, where your message meets its moment. A jury has spoken. Deborah Fenton slipped and fell, and the Cosmopolitan was found negligent. Thanks to Patrick Kang and Ace Law Group, justice was delivered. If you've been hurt by someone else's negligence, don't face it alone. Call Ace Law Group. We don't back down. We win. We win big, like $15 million big. Call 702-357-9729. Ace Law Group.
We're back with you here on the Middle Ground Radio Show. Tom Letizia with you, and today it's time for Middle Ground Radio and the big games of the week with Nick Bogdanovich. Good morning, Nick. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Tom. How about yourself?
Doing great. I was a little disappointed in the Raider game last night. I had the Raiders, and what happened with the Raiders last night? Did the offense just completely died, didn't it?
Yeah, 3 picks. Geno Smith cannot turn the ball over 3 times. You can't. The defense did its job, held them to 20 points. That should be good enough to be close to getting a win. But unfortunately, the Raiders dropped to 1-1. I was really hoping to see they get off to a 2-0 start and have a little fire in this town. But we'll have to see if they can rebound this week at Washington.
Was it that the Raiders were so bad, or that the Chargers were so good? What was it? Combination of both. Yeah.
I mean, combination of both. Herbert's so good, and Harbaugh's just a winning coach. He's won at every stop he's been at, Stanford, Michigan, and now the Chargers, so 49ers. So, Harbaugh's just a good coach, and you just can't make mistakes when you play him.
Yep.
If you take away the 3 turnovers, you got a chance.
Okay, so Thursday night we got a great game. The Bills are big favorites over Miami at Boomers. Is this the kind of spot where bettors might look for value on the underdog, or is Buffalo just too strong at home?
Yeah, it's an isolated Thursday night game, so the public will be all over the Bills. Bills have looked dynamite their first 2 games. Miami's absolutely a mess, 0-2, and all sorts of problems. So, yeah, we'll need Miami pretty good in this game.
Yeah, I would expect. Rams at Eagles. Both teams come in at 2-0. Nick, when two unbeaten teams meet this early, how do the odds makers at Boomers, you, set the line, and where's the early money going in this one?
Well, the early money's all on the Rams. We opened Philly 4. They took the 4. We're down to 3.5, and they're taking some 3.5. So this is a big revenge game from the playoffs. The Rams gave the Eagles their best contest last year on the Eagles' march to the Super Bowl. So the Rams could, very easily won that game. And the Rams are off to a good start this year too. Well-coached team. Sean McVay's a genius. Stafford's tough as $2 steak. So I can't wait to watch this one. This is definitely either the best game of the week or 1A.
Yeah, should be a good one to watch. And the Packers at Browns. Green Bay's defense has been impressed. Cleveland's still winless. How does that shape the betting market? Do sharps stay patient with a struggling team or jump ship?
The sharps may end up on the Browns in this game. Cleveland's defense has been, even though they're 0-2, the defense has been dynamite. Held like Cincinnati to 170 in the first game in Baltimore, even though they gave up a lot of points, like to 250 yards. So that's pretty impressive. They just have nothing on the offensive side of the ball, and they're a losing organization. They just can't get out of their own way. So another case, we'll need the Browns pretty good come Sunday, but will be an interesting game. Micah Parsons has definitely breathed life into Green Bay, even though he's not dominating on the field yet. He probably will, but he's definitely brought a lot of fire into that locker room.
Okay, so, and Nick, before we wrap up, fans can always get the best lines and the true Vegas energy at Boomer Sportsbook. What's the one game you think will bring the most excitement through the doors this weekend? Yeah, no question, Detroit and Baltimore. You can lay $1.05 each side in the NFL with Boomers, but this one figures, hopefully it's like another 41-40 game that Buffalo played with Baltimore earlier. Detroit's coming off a game where they hang 52 on Chicago. So this is going to be a heck of a game. Baltimore's like a 6-point favorite, but anything could happen in this game. I mean, look for some crazy offensive outbursts. And, this is must-see TV. The NFL is smart. They got this in prime time as well. Well, we'll see you Thursday when you're in the studio, Nick, and we'll go over all the games this weekend. Thank you, Nick Bogdanovich from Boomers. We'll be back with you again, as I said, Thursday. Thanks, Nick. Have a great day. You too. Bye-bye. Okay, we're back with Ron Coury. Here we are in the studio, and we talked a little bit about Ron's book. Great book, Tenacity. If you haven't picked one up yet, you need to pick it up. It's definitely inspiring. And Ron, you wrote the book. You've had successes in business, a number of wonderful businesses, but then all of a sudden they decided to, and you wrote the book, which was a great accomplishment to begin with, but all of a sudden they want to make a movie out of this. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, very exciting for me, besides the book being an Amazon bestseller. Having Dean Cain do the audiobook version, and then his relationship with Jason Campbell in Virginia of JC Films. Dean mentioned to Jason during his starring in another project about this story he just read into Audible, and Jason researched it, asked for an introduction, came to town. Dean, Jason, and I met, and Jason said, if you haven't signed away the movie rights, I'd like to do a deal with you. And I said, well, I haven't been approached about it, so yeah, I'm not opposed to considering that. So he said, I'm going to put something together with the script. Dean wants to take a run at it with me, and we'll send you something. And then via email, I got a draft. I made some corrections to it, provided some additional detail, which he wouldn't know because it wasn't in the book, but it's in my memory banks as part of my life.
Sure.
So the film will be a bit more interesting with new detail for people who've read the book. The film will be much different, and they're going to start filming it mid-November, and that's very exciting.
Wow, this is exciting. I mean, you took this book, you wrote it, and you never expected this to happen, did you?
No. I thought once Brian Ruff and I finished my dictation of my life story, and he reduced it to a writing, and then it became an Amazon bestseller, I kind of thought I was done.
Yeah, yeah. So you've had so many successes over the years. How has your definition of success changed over time? What does success mean to you now versus when you were younger?
I think it's very important to love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
whether you make a lot of money at it or no money at it. To feel the challenge of waking up every day and going to whatever defines work in your life and enjoying the experience, enjoying the people you work around that you may have hired or you interact with in business, and even embracing your competitors is a very real thing called a friendly competition.
Mm-hmm.
And even people in the same industry as one of mine who I've established a rapport with, and we'd meet for lunch and discuss the challenges we have that are similar to one another in managing employees. When Dan and I grew to over 100 employees, a whole new set of challenges comes compared to two guys that started out with 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And the business grows exponentially. We grew with national sales and then international sales with slot machine gaming glass as gaming grew around the world. And success is defined in a lot of different ways from the different things I've been in business in.
Yeah, you seem to keep moving the goalposts. You know, every time you have one success, then you set a new goal, and you look to another success. You've had multiple businesses, you've sold, you've had partnerships, and you talked about your relationship with Dan early in your life. What have you found works best in choosing partners? What red flags do you now avoid? You know, you had a great relationship with Don Tamburo.
Yeah.
You guys built Planet Hyundai together, one of the most successful car dealerships. Don was a great partner. You still have maintained a friendship.
I knew Don socially through my host at Caesar's Palace. He said, you know, I have a customer comes in from Texas. You need to meet him. So Don and I met for dinner, and then when he was coming to town for a weekend with he had car dealerships there, and he'd come to town with different managers, and we'd get together. And when he decided to sell his businesses to Roger Penske and move to Vegas, we were going to just hang out together, a couple of retired guys.
Yeah.
And then the car dealership opportunity at Planet Hyundai came about, and Don said, I know we were talking about getting a bar together and you teaching me the liquor and gaming business. What do you think about learning the car business? I said, you know, if anything, my life has been diversity, a lot of different businesses, and I'd love to learn the car business from you. I've seen your dealerships in Texas. I like how you operate. There are many synergies which we share, and let's do it. So we purchased Planet Hyundai, parlayed that into the acquisition of Centennial Hyundai, and then Henderson Kia, and did really well with it until we got an offer to sell them.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to work with you and Don back then with all of these dealerships. And I got to tell you, and I say this all the time, Don Tamburo was one of the finest gentlemen I ever dealt with in the car business. And I had 150 car dealers all over the country. But what a gentleman, what a class act.
That's why I wanted to go into business with him. I like the guy as a friend. And being friends first, like with Dan Hughes, before going into business together, really helps things go well.
Sure.
And when Don came here and we did our car dealership, I knew you socially around town as an advertising guy.
Yeah.
And Don said, we need to do some advertising. Who do you work with from my businesses? And I introduced you to Don, and we gave you the account to represent us, and that was a great relationship.
Yeah, no, and again, you know, it's so important to have honest and, people with integrity. How have your values, honesty, hard work, loyalty, all of that remained constant, or have they changed over the years?
No, I think a sense of honor and loyalty is either inbred in you, the way your parents raise you or what you learn in the military. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I would never let the chance to make more money influence me deciding what the right thing to do was when a choice was in front of me.
Yeah.
And I think my friends and business relationships know that about me, which is why I believe our business has succeeded. We had a great trust in one another as business partners, and we made the right choices for our partnership, and our business has flourished as a result.
Yeah, and you've always maintained that. You've always maintained your relationship with your old friends. And I want to talk to you about your charitable outreach. You've been a big part of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. We're going to take another break, and then we'll be back with our guest this morning, Ron Coury. He wrote a book. It's called Tenacity, and the movie is coming out soon. I'm going to talk with Ron a little bit more after this break. Stay with us.
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Attorneys Bradley Schrager and Daniel Bravo of the law firm Bravo Schrager LLP provide the highest standard of work on Nevada appeals. Bravo Schrager lawyers have long experience in the appellate process. They've argued dozens of appeals and writs in the Nevada Supreme Court and Court of Appeals over many years, and they produce clear, compelling, and persuasive legal briefs in support of your case. Bravo Schrager LLP knows the complex appeal process in Nevada inside and out. If your case is going on appeal, contact Bravo Schrager LLP at 702-996-1724 or visit bravoschrager.com. Bravo Schrager LLP knows the complex appeal process in Nevada inside and out. If your case is going on appeal, contact Bravo Schrager LLP at 702-996-1724 or visit bravoschrager.com. Attorneys Bradley Schrager and Daniel Bravo of the law firm Bravo Schrager LLP provide the highest standard of work on Nevada appeals. Bravo Schrager LLP, your Nevada law firm for appeals.
Football season is here, and the all-new Boomer Sportsbook wants you to know two numbers, 250 and minus 105.
Sign up for your Boomer's mobile account, and they will match your deposit up to $250 in bonus bets. Plus, they're offering minus 105 on all pro football spreads for every regular season game.
Download the Boomer Sportsbook app, then go to Ellis Island Casino in Las Vegas or Casino Valverde in Henderson to activate your account.
Boomers is where Nevada plays to win.
Learn more at betwithboomers.com.
Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Bet responsibly. What if the secret to longevity isn't out there, but already inside of you? Russell Letizia brings a dynamic message of power, purpose, and personal transformation. She'll show your audience how mindset, food, movement, relationships, and generational harmony unlock real-life longevity. 5 steps, 1 mission, 0 excuses. The time is now. Go to speakermarla.com and book the speaker who's changing lives. Russell Letizia. Live strong. Lead bold. A jury has spoken. Deborah Fenton slipped and fell, and the Cosmopolitan was found negligent. Thanks to Patrick Kang and Ace Law Group, justice was delivered. If you've been hurt by someone else's negligence, don't face it alone. Call Ace Law Group. We don't back down. We win. We win big, like $15 million big. Call 702-357-9729. Ace Law Group.
Ready to transform your body, boost your energy, and feel your best? Welcome to OC Body Fit at Tivoli Village. We offer personalized training for all ages and fitness levels, perfect for beginners, injury recovery, or pushing toward your next big goal. Our expert trainers focus on you with customized plans and proper techniques. Enjoy small group classes that bring the motivation of a community with the personal attention you need. Don't wait. Start your journey to a stronger, healthier you today. Call or text 702-978-8263 to book your free consultation now. OC Body Fit, your ultimate fitness destination.
KMZQ on-time traffic. It's powered by Meineke Car Care Centers. Right now, you can get an oil change for only $34.95. Meineke, doing car care right.
A couple of problem spots on the Southern Beltway. We'll start in the southwest with a minor accident there on 215 southbound after Russell Road. Looks like that's out of the way. It's on the right shoulder there. And as you swing around and head toward the Southern Beltway interchange, have one that's causing a little bit more of a backup here. 215 eastbound, right before the turnoff to get onto 15 southbound, and that is taking up the right lane there. It's causing the extra delay there. Eastbound 215 again, right where it meets up with I-15. That's at the Southern Beltway interchange. What's left of an earlier accident through the resort corridor is a tow truck on the right shoulder on I-15 northbound near Tropicana. And on the surface streets, watch for an injury accident on East Flamingo. This is westbound Flamingo at Maryland Parkway. Sunny, clear, light winds. Afternoon temperatures just shy of triple digits today. Could see the 80s by the end of the week, and rain even on Friday. 81 degrees right now. I'm Mark Thomas with your on-time traffic, brought to you by Meineke Car Care Centers on AM 670 KMZQ.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
We're back with you here on the Middle Ground Radio Show. Tom Letizia with my guest in the studio, Ron Coury. Ron is a brilliant Las Vegas entrepreneur and visionary. He wrote a book in 2018. It's called Tenacity. If you ever want to get pumped up, you ever want to get motivated, you got to read this book. It's a great book. Ron's known as a fighter, a survivor, and a man of integrity here in Las Vegas. And he wrote this book, this memoir, Tenacity, detailing his journey through challenges, corruption, survival, and resilience. Ron, and you've done so much for the community. One of the things that you've done is you've been on the board of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and you've been on that board for over 10 years. You contribute year after year after year. What motivates your civic engagement, and what impact do you hope to leave here?
Well, being a former bar owner, we in the bar business really appreciate the job our police department does when we call because someone's unruly and because of liability and litigation issues. You really don't want to put hands on someone. You want to let the authorities handle it unless your property or your people are at imminent risk. And I had a great affinity for our police department. I wanted to be a cop when I moved here out of the Marine Corps. But my life took a different path, and being in the bar business, I just had this great affinity for police. And after the assassination of Officers Soldo and Beck years ago, my buddy Don Tamburo, who had recently moved here, said, you know, when I lived in Texas, I was very involved with the police department. What they did to these two cops is terrible. I want to do something. So he and I met and talked about it, and we ended up starting the Soldo and Beck Scholarship Program, where Don and I contributed $50,000 for 10 kids of Metro cops to advance their higher education. Each kid got a $5,000 scholarship. And Don and I did that in the name of our car dealerships, and did that for 6 consecutive years. Total of $300,000 we donated. And when we sold the car dealerships, that stopped. But it was a great gesture to support the local community and let the cops in town know we appreciate the jobs they do by doing something for their children.
Yeah.
So that was something Don and I did as a community participation project.
And you recognize the importance of giving back to the community, and of course our police. There's so many things that the foundation does that is not covered by the county budget, by the Clark County budget, and things like body cameras sometimes not fully included.
Funded in the budget, yeah.
Not funded in that Clark County budget.
Foundation for money, yeah.
And so you've been a big part of, you're one of the longest standing members on that board. You got me in about 10 years ago, so you've probably been there, 11 years now?
Yeah, Mike McClary was an assistant sheriff and a personal friend of mine when he came to me and said, we'd like to start a foundation. We need someone with business experience to help us put this together. Yeah. So we envisioned it together, made it happen with the sheriff's endorsement. Coincidentally, Doug Gillespie, one of our former sheriffs, I knew socially because his wife, Louise, was an artist at my graphics company with Dan Hughes. So I knew Doug, when he was an on-duty cop, would come pick up Louise for lunch. And we were friends. He ultimately grew in the department and became a sheriff. So in a variety of different ways, I've been friends with a number of our sheriffs and always found a way to support our police. One of those ways being the $50,000 annual scholarship Don and I started for the memory of Soldo and Beck.
You know, and I can't overemphasize the importance of giving back to the community, because there's an old saying that givers get. When you give, you get a lot inside, and it makes you feel better. So, Ron, you've been at the forefront of giving back to this community for a number of years. You know, you've taken a lot of chances in your life. Okay, you've always been able. Everything you've done is basically taking a chance. Every time you go into business, every time you wake up in the morning, you're taking a risk. How do you balance risk and stability now, especially in your later ventures or your stage of life? How do you balance all of that?
Well, nothing of value that one chooses to pursue comes without challenges.
Yeah.
You don't know what those challenges are going to be, whether it's unethical competitors, unethical politics, financial challenges. But if you analyze your situation, take the high ground, don't let anything damage your reputation, I've found that although you might encounter initial obstacles that seem insurmountable, you stick your nose to the grindstone and you keep pushing forward. And in my experience, ultimately, no matter how long it takes, good things will happen.
Yeah.
People will notice.
Yeah, and we got a lot of small business operators that, are trying to make ends meet. They're struggling, and most small businesses do struggle. They may have a good month, but then they have a bad month. What advice would you give to younger entrepreneurs in Las Vegas about surviving and thriving, especially those who come from modest beginnings?
Well, the easy choice is always to quit when something is difficult.
Yeah.
And no matter how modest your bankroll or where you started, anything of value comes with risk and challenge. And just go into it knowing you're going to face obstacles. You just may not know what they are now. And accept those challenges for what they are, challenges.
Right.
Not something to give up on,
right,
but to fight it head on and find a way through it or around it to reach your goal.
And would you say the greatest attribute for a good businessman is hard work?
Stick-to-itiveness comes to mind.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't ever give up. Okay, so looking forward, what's next for Ron Coury? You've got the book. You've had success in business. You survived cancer. You got a movie coming out. I mean, that's a lot right there. The movie's got to be the big thing on your agenda right now. Do you have any other projects, visions, or aspirations that you haven't pursued yet that you want to take on in your life?
Well, the most recent thing of consequence is that Jason and Dean Cain collaborated to create the script for a film based on what was in my book.
Yeah.
And after reviewing the script draft and coming to a consensus that Jason, Dean, and I all like, they've now put it on a schedule. Dean will portray me, and that starts filming November 16th, and I'm very excited to be involved in that and make sure we put out the best film possible that replicates my life experience to motivate people to accept challenges, expect them, face them head on, and overcome them, and feel like you did a good job at the end of the day, that you made choices that your family, your children can be proud of and emulate you going forward.
Can't wait for the premiere. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a big night. I hope you make a big party out of it. Invite all your friends. I want to be there for sure. Okay, we got about 30 seconds left for a lightning round, okay? This is where we just ask you some quick, rapid-fire questions. You give us quick answers in one word or less. A mentor who influenced you most.
Gordon Liddy.
One piece of advice you ever received, the most important piece of advice.
Drill instructor in Marine boot camp that said, no matter what comes, don't give up.
Worst business decision you ever made.
Even my business failures, I learned something. So I really can't name a worst, even though it might have cost me and Dan money.
Took a negative, turned it into a positive. That's what I love about you. One word that describes how you feel right now.
Excited.
Excited after all of his success. And he came here to us today to be on the show, the Middle Ground Radio Show. Everybody have a great day, and I hope you're inspired with Ron Coury, our guest today on the Middle Ground. Take care. Bye-bye.